Once upon a time, there lives a man called John. He is one of the richest men in his community, but he have not married. One day John was sitting under one big mango tree near his house when one pregnant woman called and came to beg for financial assistance, and is the wife of late Mr. Paul John bosom friend, who died on his way back from travel and was 2 months pregnant before the husband died, and came to John's house to beg him money for her antenatal care. The woman greeted John, but he did not respond because he knew that she had come for financial help. She greeted again, and John responded in a harsh voice, "Yes, how may I help you?" She knelt down on the ground and began to beg to speak. "Oga John, I beg you in the name of God, please give me small money so I can use it for my antenatal care. You know, since my husband left us, things have been very difficult to me. Please, sir, help me. You are the only friend of my late husband that I can run to." John looked at her angrily and said to her, "You are not serious, woman. Did you give me any money to keep for you, or am I the person that impregnated you? Before I close and open my eyes, make sure you are out of my house." John ordered his boys to take her out of his house and kept on begging, but John refuses to give her a listening ear. John's boys came and pushed her out of the house, and she failed on the ground and was crying. Months later, and gave birth to the bouncing baby girl, and she named her Joy. One fateful afternoon, John's brother called him to come and visit him in school. On his way going to his brother's house, one young lady called Agadima stopped him and begged him to help her take her sister, who is seriously sick, to the hospital, but John said, "What have I done to people in this community?" He pushed her away and without a response and drove off. The girl fell down and started crying. The next day, John went to visit his friend Ben. When he reached there, he discussed with his friend concerning marriage. Ben told him that he should not worry himself, that he would find a suitable girl for him to marry. On that faithful day, John and his friend Ben went out to receive fresh air and also work around the area. John saw one beautiful girl coming towards them. He could not control himself any longer, as he was carried away by her beauty. He did not know that there was a very big stone on his way. He hit his leg on it and fell down and stood up briskly and cleverly pretending that nothing happened. The next day, John was hanging out in the street when he saw the same girl coming in front of him. He stopped her, and they talked to each other briefly. As they were discussing, he asked her what her name was, and she replied, "My name is Faith." John also told her his own name. Both had a funny moment with each other before Faith left. The next day, John was hoping to see Faith again, but unfortunately for him, Faith did not come out. John was on his way going back to his house when he saw Faith buying something. He rushed to her immediately without wasting time. He greeted by saying hello to her. Faith also greeted him back and was surprised to see him dressed like someone who is traveling, so she asked immediately, "This one, you are dressed like this, are you going out?" John replied, "Well, I'm traveling back to my state, and thank God I saw you here." He immediately asked for her number without wasting time. Faith gave him her number, and they both left to their destination. 3 months later, John proposed to Faith, and they both had a beautiful wedding and traditional marriage that same month. Months later, Faith was having headache, which she complained to her husband. They went to the hospital, and she was confirmed pregnant. Faith was very happy because her mother-in-law was already telling her that if she did not give her grandchildren, that her son will marry another wife. One faithful morning, John was preparing for work when one woman from the same community came to beg him for her daughter's WAC fee. John insulted her and pushed her out of his compound. The woman, out of anger, cursed him, saying, "You insulted me and called me names because I begged you money. You opened your mouth and say that I'm giving birth like chicken. Don't worry, your wife will not even give birth at all. Come to talk of giving birth like chicken." Faith heard that and ran out of the room to know what was happening. She asked what the matter was, but the woman and her husband keep exchanging words to each other. Faith had no option then to carry her husband inside the house. They entered inside, and the woman started crying. Months later, John's wife gave birth to a bouncing baby boy as handsome as John. John and Faith named him Obinna, meaning father's heart. They trained him to the level a child needed in his school. Getting to primary 1, he was doing so very well in school. One fateful day, Obinna was just having headache, so they took him to the hospital. As day comes by, the sickness keep getting worse. One fateful morning, Obinna started crying uncontrollably. The mother tried to know what was wrong with him, but he keeps crying. The mother was no longer comfortable with the cry, so she went out to call the doctor. Before she and the doctor could get to where Obinna was laying down, Obinna had given up to the ghost. Before the doctor could say one more word, Faith fainted, but was revived later. Faith called John immediately on phone and explained what happened to him. John rushed to the hospital immediately and was heartbroken with what he saw. John and Faith took Obinna home where they will lie him to rest. 2 weeks later, John and Faith traveled back to the city to continue with their lives after their son's burial. Months later, John's character towards Faith started changing gradually because in his mind, Faith is taking too long to conceive again. Watch out for the second episode. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, comment, and share.